Welcome back now to segment 3. Archbishop Deacon Stephen had a great time, obviously, at the World Meeting of Families.
He sure did, and I enjoyed interviewing him. I think that people will enjoy hearing about his experiences.
Well, he's a great addition to our staff.
Yeah.
Okay, segment 3, now we're going to talk about the Synod on the Family. As we talked earlier, the Holy Father came here. The World Meeting of Families was at the end of his visit here, and then you had about a 24-hour wait, and then you went right to the Holy See, where you had curial visits for a little bit of time, and then began the 3-week Synod on the Family. So that's what happened, but let's use our time to talk about the Synod.
Sure.
Remind us what a Synod is, and we've just had 2 Synods back to back.
We have, Brian. Well, first of all, our Holy Father said a Synod, it means literally to walk together. In fact, it was interesting, he said, the word synod and the word church, he says, are the same because they are journeys. Okay. They are journeys with Christ toward heaven. And so in many ways, let me say 2 things about the synod as far as its effect. One is, this is the 14th General Ordinary Synod since the Second Vatican Council. Right. Our Holy Father is very serious about what he calls synodality. For the longest time, I didn't know what in the world synodality meant, but it really means that the bishops are to participate in the life of governance. He told us at the beginning of the Synod, now this is not a parliament, this is not a political process or exercise, but it's an action of communio, of coming together with Pope Francis and under him. Obviously, the results of the Synod were given to him. And I think within the next 6 to 8 months, he will, I know, issue a teaching, an apostolic exhortation that I think we're all eager for. So that's the first thing. Secondly, the topic. The topic of the family. I mean, we all have seen over the last 10, 20 years, the decrease in the number of couples turning to the church for sacramental marriage. We've seen the difficulties that have happened so often with our helping children. And so there are many challenges to family life today. Good people, but people who need help. And we as a church need to walk together because, in a sense, the church is a family of families. I mean, if we look at who we are as a church, we're really families coming together. So that was the task. The task was not to change doctrine, as our Holy Father said, but let's look anew at the pastoral way we reach out to families, and I'll be saying this a little later, families reach out to one another.
Okay, so let's go to the takeaways then, because you have a lot of material that happened in 3 weeks. There was a news story every day. I don't think there was news stories over all 14 of those synods, but boy, there was a news story every day in the television and radio and newspapers
Brian,
here.
love me, hate me, but don't ignore me.
That took place.
Good, yeah.
So again, just in this time we have, what are some takeaways that we're going to obviously wait till the Holy Father's teaching.
Absolutely.
But what are some things?
Let's face it, the final document was voted on. It was, 95 paragraphs. Yeah. And of those paragraphs, people will focus on one or the other. There's a richness that goes through it. The beauty of marriage, the beauty of God's plan. Okay. God's plan for our own happiness. The fact that not only for the gift of church, but that the future of society goes through family. Mm-hmm. So everyone needs to be concerned and interested in bolstering up and helping families, especially those who struggle. That's the first thing. I think the second one is our Holy Father saying something I think that I said with Deacon Stephen Bowling, that the family isn't simply somebody who is an object of our help, as if they're helpless. No, a family receives, but a family also gives and shares. And in fact, that's probably the biggest message, is to say to families, you have a ministry of Christ, first of all, to one another. How precious is the gift of each family member in your life. And secondly, don't forget the world watches you, and the way you treat one another and the way you treat your neighbor is going to have a profound effect on others. So it's a wonderful thing.
That part's like a call to mission for the family.
It is. It really is. In fact, we got 3 minutes. Thank God we have more time here, but we had 3 minutes to give our presentation, and that's what I gave mine on. It was the call, the formation, and the support of families who are like mentors, who are families willing to lead and help and nurture other families.
Archbishop, this is really helpful because so many times, I'm not blaming the media, but so many times the setup to the Synod and even some stories is, what are the issues we've got to fix? What are the problems we've got to solve?
Sure.
And I think that thing you've shared here, that it was also a call to mission for what the family needs to do, not how do we fix a broken family.
Well, you're absolutely right. And remember, the title was the vocation and the mission of the family. Now, for sure, we dealt with many issues, people who are cohabiting. And we want to build on what is already present and lead them into a deeper union. People who have experienced really the sadness and the woundedness of a failed marriage, of a divorce, and often have entered civilly into a remarriage. How can we help? How can we help make the annulment process easier, as we'll be talking about a little later, I guess maybe next month on that. And how are we, in a sense, seeing each family as unique? We don't want to kind of bunch people up together. No one wants to be put in a category like, well, we're going to treat everybody the same.
Yeah. You know, one of the interesting things about family is that everybody's part of one.
Yeah.
There's very few things you can say about people of all cultures, of all faiths, of all nationalities. Everybody's in a family. So in this way, I guess part of the international sense of a synod then, of course, is that. Archbishop?
And I would say this, that you're right, when you look at different continents, there are special issues in all cases.
Sure.
The Church's vision, though, which is God's plan for marriage and family, looking at the union of a man and a woman in faithful and permanent love and open to children, remains that gift that we need to continue to focus on, knowing full well that we also accompany people who struggle and who are imperfect in that.
For us in a diocese now and back here, and you know, I think you've been at 3 of the 14 synods, so you always have had this experience to say the international, the leadership in the church, but sometimes it lands right back here at home. Now, what are we going to do here? So, can you use some insights to the local faithful?
Sure. Sure. Well, one of the things that I have to say is that sometimes the message helps begin the process. So, in other words, I hope that just as when I was going through the Synod, I was thinking, boy, I'm so happy and pleased that I have a family.
Yeah, okay.
I was so pleased for my own family. I'm going to make sure that I make good contact with my 2 sisters. Saying this on the air is going to guarantee that. But I hope every family does that. In other words, part of it is not to look as if we are, in a sense, helpless and can't do anything. No, to motivate us to action now. And I think just as our Holy Father in Evangelii Gaudium gave such great efforts on the joy of the gospel, we're going to also have a teaching that we can rally around, and I would say in the next 6 months.
Wow, I'm going to look forward to that, not only for our local church, but I have a family too. And
that's right. Yeah.
So I want to see that because this in a sense, 2-part synod, last year and this year, different pieces of it, was one where I particularly noticed people were saying, what is the Holy Father, the Synod Fathers, the Church International saying to us? And that's really great. Well, we could be talking about the Synod for a long time too, and that's wonderful. But we've had a full show here. We've now done a little bit on your visit with our Holy Father when he came here. We've met our new family ministry director, and now the Synod. The topic of family will surely be returning to conversations. So thanks everybody for being with us this month. We look forward to future opportunities to be with you. Have a good day.